Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into a brand new tier list video. And guys, I actually just created, hot off the presses, the brand new Big Ten for the 2021 football season. So we have UCLA and USC involved now, and you can go do this yourself. This is my personal one I created. It is on the Tier Maker website, I think. But guys, I thought I would just do an updated kind of version of this, looking forward, my Big Ten tier rankings with the addition of UCLA and USC. And obviously, there's speculation there could be more Pac-12 schools coming to the Big Ten, so I might have to redo this. But right now, these are my future rankings. And what is this? Oh, it's Iowa. Look at that. You can't even see Iowa's. But guys, for Iowa, I think it's fair. Oh yeah, let me go over the categories. So we've got national title contenders, basically teams that recruit well enough to win the national title. They've got that type of upside. Conference contenders, pretty self-explanatory. You could win your conference, but you're probably not going to win a title. Average teams, 7-5, 6-6, 5-7. Below average teams, these are teams that can pull an upset every once in a while, but are routinely 4 or 5 win teams. And then the worst of the worst. It's kind of funny how maybe I should have color-coded these better. Like, this should be a red tier for being worst, right? And the green should be national titles contenders. Let's do a little color code. There we go. That's a little bit better. But guys, yeah, Iowa, they're made for the average tier. Sometimes they have good seasons. Like last year, they made the Big Ten champ. You could put them in conference contenders. But, well, you kind of have to. They made, this is a projected forward ranking, but they did make the Big Ten championship game last year. But guys, I might put them at the front end of average. I mean, it's like they're above average, but I don't know if they're really a conference contender, because even though they made the conference championship, they got annihilated by Michigan. So we'll leave them in the upper echelon of average for now. They simply don't recruit well enough. Of course, I say that the day after they just landed their highest ranked recruit of all time, Caden Proctor. But guys, I still don't think they recruit that well. Next, it's Michigan State. I'm going to say under Mel Tucker, they're solidly in the conference contenders category, even with USC and UCLA coming along. Now, the thought is USC and UCLA will join the West Division, and then one of the bad West teams will move to the East, maybe Illinois. So I'm going to put, Michigan State. They still are going to have to face Ohio State every year, you would think. They're going to have to face Michigan, Penn State. It's tough, but Mel Tucker has this program trending up, and they're a team that utilizes the transfer portal very well, but just overall, there is a lack of talent that is going to keep them from being a national title contenders. I think they're back end of conference contenders, back end in my estimation. Next, we have USC. So again, this is projecting forward, and with USC under Lincoln Riley, with how they're recruiting, I am going to put them as a national title contender. They simply are recruiting too well. They've got the NIL thing going. They've got the state of California with UCLA being down. It's under lock. Lincoln Riley, unbelievable QB guru. They've got a superstar quarterback committed who will very likely be playing in Big Ten games. Malachi Nelson, the number 2 overall player. USC is going to have the talent to contend and be a national title contenders, especially with the playoff expanding in 2025. So USC, they're going to be able to recruit well enough. They already are. They've got 3 5-star commits in the 2023 cycle at this point. Lincoln, they've got to be sitting as national title contenders, in my opinion. I know some people may disagree. USC's not been great, but now they have a superstar young QB guru coach. That's my opinion. Next, we have Indiana. So Indiana, I'm going with worst. I think they had a complete fluke, lucky season during the pandemic year. They're in the East, meaning they have to face Ohio State every year. They have to face Penn State every year. They have to face Michigan State every year. They have to face Michigan every year. It is unfortunate. They do not recruit well at all. It's rare when they land a 4-star. They are in contention for being the worst team in the Big Ten. I know a lot of people respect Tom Allen. He got a lot of hype during the pandemic year when they went 6-1 in conference. to me, it was a fluke. Let's be honest, it was a fluke. And to me, you could maybe make an argument they should be below average, but I'm putting them in worst for now. When you look forward, I don't see any sort of recruiting ability from Indiana in terms of their football program. Next, we've got Michigan. So Michigan, in my opinion, they just simply recruit better than Michigan State, although that could be changing. Michigan State's really utilizing NIL, and they're putting together a good class in 2023, and Michigan is kind of just, stuttering right now. They're landing a bunch of 3-stars, but overall, over the long haul, I like Michigan's talent over Michigan State's. Of course, Michigan is coming off an amazing breakout year for their program where they beat Ohio State. They made the college football playoffs. So to me, they are definitely conference contenders, but they just don't have the overall talent as we saw when they went up against Georgia. They got completely bullied. I think there's a ceiling to Michigan football right now unless they can recruit a little bit better. So I'm going to put them in the upper echelon of conference contenders. Next, we have Maryland. And Maryland, this is an interesting one. I think you either got to go below average or average. Mike Loxley, they could be trending up this year. They have 3 really good skill position players, all 3 receivers, and they've got Tua's younger brother who's got some experience. He had a decent season last year. I think this will be his 3rd year starting. So, but when you project them I got to move them down. When you project them forward, I just don't see the staying power as a potential average team being in the East and having to face all those teams like Ohio State, like Michigan, every single year. So this coming year, I think they can win 8 games. But this is a projected, Big Ten new conference in 2024. Where do I think these teams rank? I'm putting them below average in my opinion. Next, we have UCLA. So UCLA, they have it's very interesting. I'm going to put them probably an average right along with Iowa. I'll put them in front of Iowa because they've got way more recruiting potential than Iowa with the Rose Bowl. The whole Chip Kelly thing, how long does he last at UCLA? He's had a nice little resurgence in his coaching career. They should have a good year this year with Zach Charbonnet in the Pac-12. They've got Thompson Robinson returning for like a 4th year, I think, the quarterback. He was a good 4-star recruit. So, yeah, UCLA, they're definitely not a conference contender in this conference, which is now loaded. But they were like maybe slightly above average on their good days. I mean, you remember last year when they beat LSU in week 1 and everyone went crazy. They got ranked like 11th, but overall I'd say slightly above average. So I think in front of Iowa. The reason I put them in front of Iowa is because they can recruit better, so they've got more of a higher ceiling in my opinion, but very similar programs. Next, we have Minnesota, and I'm going to go probably the upper echelon of below average. PJ Fleck, you got to respect him. They had that breakout year a few years ago when they beat Penn State at home, but they have not been able to break through. They haven't made a Big Ten championship game. You've got Wisconsin in that division. You're probably going to have USC in that division, the West Division as well. So yeah, Minnesota is definitely going to be a team that gets impacted by this major realignment with USC and UCLA joining the Big Ten. Their schedule in the West is going to get a lot more tougher if USC and UCLA join the West Division. Next, we have Ohio State. So I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Ohio State has to be number 1 national title contenders. They're a top 3 or top 4 recruiting team. Ryan Day is a superstar, young rock star head coach. And he knows he made a mistake 2 years ago, a rookie young coaching mistake with the defensive coordinator. He's fixed it. He's got a great defensive coordinator in Jim Knowles in there now. They've got talent on the defensive side of the ball, one of the most talented defenses. They just got to coach it out of them. And then we know Ryan Day, his ability to recruit quarterbacks. He's gotten Justin Fields to transfer. He's gotten C.J. Stroud, who's going to be a top 5 pick. Devin Brown, Kyle McCord, Quinn Ewers. We know Quinn Ewers obviously transferred out. Dylan Raiola. So the lineage is crazy. Ohio State has to be a top 3 program overall at minimum in college football, and they've got to be number 1 in terms of Big Ten future rankings above USC. Next, we have Purdue. So Purdue, very similar in my eyes to Minnesota. You could really argue which team should be in front. I don't know. I'll leave Minnesota in front. It's either or, but Purdue is very similar. Kind of the opposite of Minnesota, though. It's like Purdue always has a high-scoring offense, but a really bad defense. It always seems like Minnesota has a good defense, but a bad offense. So, and I heard something about Tanner Morgan. People about a month ago in the comments were saying that Tanner Morgan was returning for like his 20th season. So you know what? We'll give Purdue the benefit, but these are future rankings, and these are very similar teams. It's hard to rank one in front of the other. Next, we have Penn State. So, guys, I'm a big believer in Penn State. I'm not going to lie. I'm moving them to the front of the conference contenders. To me, they're not extremely close, but their recruiting is almost on. No, I can't say that. They're not there yet. They're not national. They're not good. They need to recruit a lot better. And Penn State's going to have to start winning some football games because the last 2 years, they've been completely overrated. But James Franklin got a superstar quarterback from the state of Ohio last year. He got a superstar running back. They got another 5-star defensive lineman. They're recruiting well again in 2023. It's about transferring it on the field. They've got a veteran, Sean Clifford. We'll see how they do this year. But projecting forward in the future, I have a lot more confidence in James Franklin and the idea that he's going to be at Penn State for at least 4 or 5 more years than I do Jim Harbaugh with Michigan. Jim Harbaugh, it seems like his star is dimming. It just does. It seems like there's no juice with the recruiting. He was flirting with the Vikings on National Signing Day. That's why I like Penn State's trajectory a little bit more. Michigan's had the way better year last year, not even close. But these are future rankings for 2024. When USC and UCLA join the Big Ten, how do I think these teams will stack up? The way Penn State is recruiting, they're trending upwards. Michigan trending a little bit downwards. That's why I have Penn State at the top of conference contenders. Next, we have Rutgers. So I think Rutgers has done a pretty good job under Greg Schiano. It's unfortunate they're in the Big Ten East. I'm going to put them below average. This is a team, they do have a good recruiting nucleus in the state of New Jersey. It just comes down to Greg Schiano being able to win a few games, market the program, and keep some kids home. He's already done a good job of turning them around. Can he keep it up? Very similar to Maryland. You might even make an argument based on how they're trending. You could put them above Maryland for the future, which I'm going to do, actually. I like them a lot. I like Rutgers. It's tough because both Rutgers and Maryland are in the East, so it's a slaughter fest. But I like Rutgers. I think they're trending they're trending up. Maybe they win 6 games this year. It's going to be tough, but maybe they can do it. Next, we have Wisconsin. So Wisconsin this is another team that's going to be heavily affected by the realignment. If they get USC in the West, yikes, and they have to face USC every year. Oh, no. But I am going to put them in conference contenders, kind of right on par with Michigan. Michigan recruits better than them, but we know Wisconsin, they get a lot out of their recruits. It's very tough to go play on the road. Always a tough environment. They're a solid team. They've had a good head coach, a good infrastructure. Is probably one of the best probably the best defensive coordinator in college football, who's maybe the coach in waiting for Nebraska in Jim Leonhard. So I think Wisconsin, they have some staying power, but this move will affect them. Their schedule is about to get a lot tougher with USC and UCLA. And maybe there's more teams joining, guys. This is just right now. This is how it is. There might be more teams. We don't know. Next, we have Nebraska. I'm pretty high on Nebraska's future, just in terms of at least being somewhat relevant. Very similar to Iowa. I think they should strive to be a program like Iowa. There's just not a lot of recruiting talent in the middle of the country, so it's tough for Nebraska to recruit. But coach up 3-star kids. We know the story with Nebraska. They were on the verge. So many close losses to Ohio State, to Michigan. Every one of their losses was like a 1-score game except the Ohio State game, and that was only a 9-point game. So they're close. I like where Nebraska's trending. They've got the best fan base in college football, but that's why I'm moving them up to average. I mean, they were 3-9 last year. If you base it off of their record last year, they're down here. But I like the way Nebraska's trending. I'm moving them next to Iowa for the future. And Scott Frost is going to have to start producing. If they win 4 games this year, I think he gets fired. But I don't think they're going to win 4 games. I think they're going to have a good season, and they'll be able to build on it. Personally, next we have Illinois. So I really I do like Illinois. I just like their program. I like their colors. But they're just a sunken program right now. I'm going to put Indiana in front of them, but if there's another team that needs to go on worst, it's Illinois. Illinois and Indiana at this point going into 2022 are basically free wins for pretty much any Big Ten team, maybe outside of Northwestern. Maybe Rutgers might lose to them, though, but no, Illinois is another team very similar. They're just very uncompetitive in most of their Big Ten games the past few years, and their recruiting, it's not doing anything. I mean, you're recruiting Illinois against Notre Dame, against Michigan, against Ohio State. It's very tough to keep kids home in that state, and it's not like there's a ton of talent in that state anyways. You end up with a bunch of 3-stars on your roster. That's what's been happening to Illinois, so they go into the worst, and they also, Brett Bielema, just the retread coach. I mean, it's tough for these programs, but I just hate that hire. It's like he's going to be there 3 years, not going to do anything. They're going to fire him, and then they're going to try and just hire someone young. That's all I would say with Illinois. Or hire, I don't know. I don't know what you do. I don't know how to fix that program. I don't know how to fix Indiana. At least Indiana has a respectable coach, but still, Indiana is just so uncompetitive. It's crazy. And then we have Northwestern. So Northwestern, I'm going to move to below average. You kind of have to at least put them in below average, maybe even in front of some of these teams. This is a projection forward, and I think the general consensus is Pat Fitzgerald is going to be at Northwestern for life. He does occasionally get calls from the NFL, but guys, what do you want me to do with Northwestern? I think the chances of them going to a conference championship with USC and UCLA joining the West are 0. I know they made it, 2 times out of 3 years, but a little bit fluky. I want to respect Pat Fitzgerald, so I'm not going to put them in the worst category. But guys, they're recruiting, although they are recruiting decently this year, you could argue they should be in front of Rutgers. I mean, maybe if you want to do that. These teams, but I don't know, guys. That's how I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it like this. This is my final rankings for the future Big Ten in 2024. Once again, guys, I just made this tier maker thing. This is available. You can go do your own rankings. This is because I made this and it's live on their site, I think. But guys, these are my rankings with UCLA and USC in the Big Ten, which is going to happen in 2024. And we might get more teams in the Big Ten, maybe Washington and Oregon. But right now, this is where we stand. Next thing, we'll see when schedules come out. That'll be very interesting. But guys, make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.